How do you get people to stay longer in a store? Not visit more often, but stay longer on a single trip. Because the longer a person is on the sales floor, the more they tend to see and the more they tend to buy. Retailers have a word for this. It's called dwell time. And they spend a fortune trying to move it with the layout or the signage, with where they put the staff even. And there's one input that affects dwell time almost better than all of those things. It's the music. So here's the honest answer up front. Before I show my work, music moves dwell time. The effect is real and it's old and it's also smaller and more conditional than any music vendor will tell you. In 1982, a supermarket in the American Midwest, a researcher named Ronald Milliman talks the manager into a simple swap. Some days the background music plays slow and some days it plays fast. Nothing else changes. It's the same products, the same prices, the same aisles, the same staff. He watches how fast people move and what the registers ring up. And on slow music days, people walked the aisles at a more relaxed pace. They take longer to get through the store. They linger. They dwell. Over a full day, that lingering adds up, and gross sales come to about 38% higher than the fast music days. This is the same store. The only different thing was the tempo of the music in the air. Nobody handed shoppers a flyer. Nobody changed the prices. The tempo changed how long they stayed. So there's a really tempting version of this, and it's the one that ends up on a vendor's slideshow. Slow the music down and people will slow down. They'll stay longer. You'll make more money. You set it and forget it. You drop a slow playlist into every store in the chain and watch the dwell numbers climb. Now that's not a crazy guess because the underlying effect is genuinely there. We've all felt a slow song settle a room. So the leap feels obvious. If slow music increased one supermarket's linger and spend in 1982, then slow music should make any store linger and spend even more everywhere all the time. And that's the easy story. The research is more interesting than the easy story, and it's probably more useful for you. So let's start with what the Milliman study actually measured because it's more specific than music helps. Tempo was not changing how people felt about the groceries. It was changing the speed of their feet. Slow music, slower walking, longer trip, and a fuller shopping cart. Fast music, faster walking, a quicker exit. The lever was pace. And dwell rode on top of pace in those situations. And that was the cleanest demonstration in the entire field. And it's also a single store on a set of days, which is going to matter in a minute. So fast forward to the question that settles these things. In 2006, Francis Garlin and Kathy Owen ran a meta-analysis. A meta-analysis is just this. Instead of trusting one supermarket, you gather every decent study that anybody's ever run on store music and pool them together so that any fluke in a single store gets washed out by the weight of all of the others. Garlin and Owen pulled together 32 studies with 148 separate measured effects and asked what actually holds up across all of them. And here's the answer. The effects are real and they pointed in the same direction, but they are small to moderate, not the gigantic swing in the 1982 headline. And two things reliably make them bigger. People prefer some music over none at all, and the more familiar and liked the music is, the stronger the effect gets. So music does move behavior, including how long people stay. It just moves by a modest conditional amount. And those conditions are the whole game. So here's the because of the Milliman study. Think of music in a room less like a mood switch and more like a metronome for the body. Tempo sets a pace, and people unconsciously fall into step with it the way that a stride picks up when a fast song comes on your headphones. Slow the metronome and the feet slow down. Slower feet mean a longer trip, and the longer trip is the dwell time. That's the whole mechanism in one line. The music is not persuading anyone to stay. It's settling the speed of their body, and a slower body covers the same floor over more minutes. But notice what the meta-analysis added on top of that metronome. Familiarity of the music and liking the music, they amplify the effect. A song your brain recognizes is one that it can run ahead and settle into. So a room that feels easy to be in is a room people want to stay in. Pace gets them moving slowly. Fit gives them a reason not to leave. Now the catch. Milliman's famous 38% came from one supermarket, one store, one stretch of days. When you go to the meta-analysis to all 32 studies pulled together, the average effect is real, but it's, like I said, small to moderate. It's nowhere near that big headline number. And it depends heavily on whether the music fits the room and the people in it. There is no single playlist that you can just drop into every store that makes dwell time climb on its own. And there's a trap hiding inside the dwell number itself. This is important. Longer dwell from a person who is comfortable in browsing is the kind of thing that ends at the register. Longer dwell from a person who is stuck, lost, or waiting is just a trapped customer. A dwell report counts both exactly the same, while the register only counts one, which is sales. So where does that leave us? On the evidence, music increasing dwell time grades out as a B. The direction is solid and it has been shown across dozens of studies. But the size is modest and it's heavily conditioned on fit and familiarity. The raw dwell number can flatter you if you do not watch what kind of dwell you're buying. So if you run a store, the takeaway is not play slow music and keep people longer. It's that music is already setting your customer's pace, whether or not you choose it. And right now, most stores are running playlists that nobody really deliberately picked for dwell time. The right pace at 11 in the morning with a quiet floor and an unhurried shopper is not the right pace at 6 at night with the line building. That's why set it and forget it fails, and it's why the meta-analysis says fit is everything. And here's the one concrete move. If you want to know what's working in your store, don't just swap the music and watch the dwell number. Run it against a control, a comparable store with comparable hours with the old sound, so you can tell real dwell time from a number that only looks like it moved. Without a control, dwell is one of the easiest numbers in retail to fool yourself with. If you want to think about what your room's sound is actually doing to the people in it, that's the work that I do at danielchristopherfox.com. And if you like these studies and want to follow along as I explore them with you, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.